Hello and welcome to this morning AimHi live, or evening, depending on where you are. So this time of AimHi live is for people down on the other side of the world generally. Although you're also welcome to join if you're from the UK. But this is a repeat of one that I gave. When did I do this one? What do stars sound like? I think I did this on Monday. Yes. So this one is about what do stars sound like. Ooh. And so yeah, so that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about what do stars sound like. But first, hi Catherine. But first, does anyone know what the mystery of this pen is? What is the mystery of this pen? Ooh, doo, 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 doo. What do you guys reckon is going on with this pen? There's a really good story about this pen to do with space. And I wonder if anyone... Oh, someone's on the AimHi Live account saying invisible ink. It's not an invisible ink pen. It's got another mystery to it. What is the mystery of this pen? And it's actually something to do with... Oh, like Henry's live that's coming up on Friday, where he's got another NASA-based mystery. This is also a NASA mystery. There's a very strange story about a pen relating to NASA, and this pen is called the Space Pen. So Catherine's asking who is Henry. Henry hasn't started doing lives yet, but he's going to start on Friday, and his is going to be about. It starts with. What do sperm whales have to do with NASA? It's I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to be on Friday at 2 p.m. UK time, and also we'll probably start to get a calendar up so that you can actually see what time that is without having to calculate it soon. And I don't think Henry's on today. Maybe. I don't think so. Okay, so Fatima's saying a pen that went in space then came back. Have you guys ever seen the picture of that dog? What's the name of the dog? I think Strelka is the first dog that went to space and then came back, but I can't remember the name of the first dog that went to space. There's like a gallery of them in Los Angeles in this really strange museum called the Museum of Jurassic Technology, which is a totally crazy place. And one of the rooms is just a dedicated gallery to all the dogs that went to space, because there were dogs were the first dogs went to space before humans, and the first dog, or maybe the first few dogs, never came back. But the first dog that did come back from space, which I think was called Strelka. Oh, Laika. Laika's it. Thanks, Bjornis. Laika's the first dog that went to space and didn't come back. Laika the dog. But I think Strelka is the first dog that went to space and did come back, because it was the first time they managed to bring the rockets back. And Strelka went on to have puppies, and they gave some of the puppies to the Kennedy family in the United States. So the Russian Space Agency was trying to be friendly with the United States by sharing Strelka's puppies, the first ever space puppies, with the Americans. Space puppies. Obviously tensions remained tense between Russia and America, but at least they were sharing puppies. Okay, so the space pen. Does anyone know what the mysterious story of the space pen is? So there's something. There's a story that a lot of people have heard. I wonder if any of you have heard it. And I will start. Well, I'll start writing down what it is. The story of the space pen is as follows. It's that NASA spent millions developing. Oh, I'm just going to move that. Developing a pen that could write in zero gravity. And the Soviets just used... Does anyone know what the Soviets used? What do you guys think? Or at least, how does this story go? And Bailey, no worries. I will continue to do videos at this time as well. And thanks for letting me know that this is a good time, because we've been actually trying to figure out when the best time for people is. So if this is a good time, then that is awesome. And okay, so Jules is saying that the Russians or the Soviets used a pencil. Right. So this is how the story goes, and a lot of you, and this is a really common story that is passed around. That NASA spent millions developing a pen that could write in zero gravity, and the Soviets just used a pencil, because without gravity you couldn't get that even flow from a pen. Anyway, this story is actually not true. It's just one of those myths that goes around. In fact, what really happened is that an entirely separate private company developed the space pen, this pen that could write in zero gravity and different pressure conditions and so on, and wouldn't dry out. And a similar design is still used today. And then they sold it to both NASA and the Soviets, and both of them used space pens. And so the question is, why did neither of them use a pencil? Because, these people aren't idiots. Why is it that they didn't want to use pencils in spacecraft? That's the big question. Why not use pencils in space? What do you guys think? What would be a good reason to avoid using pencils in space? Oh, Georgia, I'm glad to hear that you think it's a great time as well. Oh, there's actually a really nice group of people on this one. Something I'm also interested in, Owen, Jules, and Georgia, is when people comment on other platforms, does it come in on Facebook? Because I know you guys are watching on Facebook, and I know that when you write comments, it goes to all the other platforms, but I feel like you only see what people say on Facebook, so you can't see all the conversation that's going on the other platforms. But I don't know, it'd be good to know if, I've been trying to work out whether Facebook actually gets all the other comments or whether it just looks like it's a few people. Anyway, so yes, pencils contain their lead, although the lead is not actually lead, it's just something we call lead, but lead is a metal, and it's not lead that's inside the pencils, is actually what material is in the center of pencils. Okay, Georgia, yeah, you just get the Facebook ones. That's strange. Hi Natasha. Yeah, we can't see other comments. Oh right, yeah, because there's like lots of other comments going on. If you watch on the AimHi site, then you'll get all the other comments. But then you have to have a Twitch account so you can comment. So whatever's if you want to see what everyone else is saying, you have to go over to here, I suppose. But also Facebook's easier, isn't it, for some people? Okay, yes, Owen's come straight in with the right answer. So So the center of a pencil is normally made from carbon, which is graphite. Now, the thing that I find baffling about graphite, and I've always found really confusing, is that it's such a good lubricant. You think of it as a solid, and like how could a solid be a good lubricant? But actually, like a slippy slide made entirely of graphite would actually probably be really slippy. And sometimes if you have like a really big machine and you wanna lube it up, then sometimes they'll literally just pour in like a load of pencil leads, like bits of graphite that'll just get ground up by the machine and then make it run really smoothly. Obviously because of the layers. But yes, so they don't want to use graphite in space because the bits of carbon from the pencil, the bits of graphite will flake off and it will conduct electricity. Bailey's saying it's much easier to watch on AimHi. Yeah, well on AimHi you get more of the interactivity, and also there are more things we can build into there, so we'll build in more stuff later. I think it's great that people are watching on here because it means that we can add loads of features. Anyway, some people like being on Facebook, but if you want to try the change, then do try flipping over here to here because you get a better experience, I think. Right, cracking on. So graphite in pencils, flaking off in spaceships, and then it's conductive. Why is it a problem that it's conductive? Why would you not want conductive graphite floating around your spaceship? And for those, sorry, let's do a re-welcome to those who joined late. For anyone who's joined late, thanks so much for coming. This is an AimHi Live, so you can ask questions whenever you want. This one is about what do stars sound like, but we're running loads of them throughout the week. There are loads of other people apart from me, so if you're watching on my Facebook or my YouTube, you can actually only get the other people on this via this link here, or by going to the AimHi Facebook page. Actually, I think the AimHi Facebook page is not working at the moment. But yes, so if you want to join on a social platform, then AimHi Live is the Instagram. Yes, do ask questions whenever you want. We are going to talk today about what do stars sound like. I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you literally what they sound like, kind of literally, and I'm going to play that through the microphone. And I'm also going to show you some cool animations and stuff. And I'm also going to talk to you about some other cool things. Yeah, the reason why you don't want to use pencils in space is because the carbon powder, the graphite powder, will float around the zero gravity spaceship that you're on and get inside all the electrical mechanisms, and so it's very, very dangerous. And so that's why nobody wants to use pencils in space. Much as pencils are so great, pencils are so great. Okay, I'm going to move on to the next section now, but what do you guys actually prefer out of pens and pencils? Because I have this theory that school teaches you to think that pencils are for when you're like really small and weedy, and then you like finally get to use a pen and you're like, right, I'm never going back to pencils ever again. And then it isn't until your 20s that you look back and you're like, hang on a minute, pencils are actually so much better in every single way, in that they're not only like much better for the environment in terms of just being like degradable, but also you can like erase them, they make a much nicer mark, and like, oh, pencils are great. Bailey likes pens. Bailey, I'm so with Fatima here, pencils all the way. And Owen's saying, yeah, the graphite powder would short the circuit boards, which might lead to implosion. Okay, so next bit. This is the sun and the earth and the moon, but obviously they're not quite. This isn't representative of their real positions. Do you guys know how far away the earth is from the moon? Because all the pictures kind of make it look like it's around this distance. Oh, I've got black hair. All the pictures make it look like the earth is actually quite close to the moon. But if my head was the earth, then the moon would be like way out by that door. The moon's like really, really far away. Anyway, so what do you guys know what the beautiful coincidence is in space with the sun and the moon? What's the amazing coincidence with the sun and the moon that that confused a lot of the ancient people, and they were like, whoa, like they seem so perfectly similar. What is the coincidence with the sun and the moon? And for those who are joining late, welcome to AimHi Live. I am just gonna plug in this, otherwise it's gonna run out of battery. Nobody wants that. I've not charged it up before. Yeah, so ask questions whenever you want, and I will try to answer whatever they are. Or you can answer my questions, and my question at the moment is, what is the beautiful coincidence between the size of the moon and the sun? Does anyone know? Okay, so Marisol Hunter is saying the moon is the perfect size to exactly block the sun in an eclipse. Yes, so this is one of the amazing coincidences about space, is that the sun is almost exactly 400 times larger than the moon, and the moon is almost exactly 400 times closer than the sun. And so this extremely unusual coincidence means that on our planet, the moon and the sun look exactly the same size, because the sun is much larger and the moon is much closer. And that is why we're able to get eclipses, because that's the situation where the moon will move in front of the sun, and on Earth they'll both look the same size, and so they will completely block one another out. Oh my god, I heard such a good story about some. I can't remember the details, but I'll give you the outline of like how it's to do with Europeans going to the Americas and arriving somewhere where they've been forced to forced into the coast by a storm. They've run out of supplies. They've got nothing. They need to stock up. And the locals are refusing to help them, which is kind of understandable because the Europeans were pretty horrible when they went over to the Americas in general. But still, the locals are refusing to help them. And so someone on the boat is a scientist and works out that an eclipse is about to happen. And so says to the captain, what you could say to them is that we'll give them a sign. We'll show them an unmistakable sign of our power and that they'll have to help us, otherwise great harm will come to them, which is pretty manipulative, pretty evil, a bit rude. But still, the locals then helped because they witnessed the eclipse and they were like, oh my God, these people can literally create eclipses. Anyway, someone's called Beetlejuice. That's such a good name. Although whatever you said Beetlejuice, it's been starred out. I've just got this and then star, star, star. Anyway, okay, so yes. So the sun is further away than the moon, but it's also much larger. Right. Okay. What do stars sound like? Now, obviously, we can't hear the sun. Why can we not hear the sun? Why can't we hear the sun? What do you guys think? Put your thoughts in the chat. Why can't we hear the sun? And Tashdor is saying that sound doesn't travel in space. Yeah, why does sound not travel in space? And Bailey's saying it needs an atmosphere to sound travel. And Infallible is saying that because sound can't travel through a vacuum. Yeah, great. Okay, and Peter's saying there's no sound in space. Yes, so sound in order to travel, a lot of you may already know this, but it needs something to move through because what you need is in the atmosphere you've got a load of particles, and as the particles at the back are like vibrated by noise, well, the noise is the vibration, they will vibrate the next particles and vibrate the next ones and so on. So sound is all about these vibrations traveling through particles, and in space you got no particles, or very few, and so the sound can't travel through space, which is pretty good because, by the way, quick vote, what does sound travel faster in? A liquid or a solid? A liquid or the atmosphere. So like if you were to blast a load of sound both into the ocean and into the air, then from the UK, then which would arrive in America first? The sound through the ocean or the sound through the air? What do you think? And where was I going with this? Oh, yes. And yeah, Tashdor's saying liquid. Yeah, it would go faster through the liquid because the particles are close together, so they can bash into one another much faster. Whereas in a gas, it takes longer for the particles to bash into one another, and so the vibration is slower. It's like the vibration is going through more of a muffly custody situation. Anyway, so although that's different things, that's losing energy. Ignore that. Right, so space. Space has got no particles in it. However, if we decided, just for a special occasion, to fill space with air about as thick as our atmosphere, so we're just going to suddenly fill all of the space between the sun and Earth with air, then how long would it take for us to be able to hear the sun? How long would it take? Now, the things that you need to know are that this is just a really quick bit of maths, and if you don't want to do the maths, just ignore this bit, but if you do, then go for it. So light travels at 300 million meters every single second. So a beam of light will go 300 million meters every single second, or 300,000 kilometers. And sound through air goes around 300 meters per second. So the light is about 1 million times faster, right? So light is about 1 million times faster than sound. Now, if light takes 8 minutes to get here from the sun, so light takes 8 minutes to make this journey, then how long does it take for sound to make the same journey? What do you guys think? And try to convert it to just give me what you think. How long does it take for light to get here? Infallibels comes straight in with a perfectly converted answer. Yes, it'll take 8 million minutes, which is equivalent to about 15 years. So if you were like trying to set up for a party where you wanted to be able to hear the sun, and so your strategy for that was to fill all of the space with air, then you'd have to plan about 15 years in advance for the sound of the sun to make it across to you. Now, when the sound of the sun arrived, it would be pretty horrific. It would be like the sound of a chainsaw blasting as hard as it can right next to your ear, day and night. And the sound would be relentless and it would be horrendous. Right. So let's start talking about. I want to now show you a recording of what stars sound like. Now, how do we get this recording? This is quite strange. Okay, I'm gonna draw you a picture. Let's move away from that tree. Oh, I do love trees. Okay, so it was explained to me by when I was at school about this thing that you could use where if there are a couple of people having a chat inside a room, and then chatting about something secret that you want to know, and then if there's like a window here that separates them from the outside world, so they're like, inside the room here. Now, you can be stood a very long distance away over here, and if you shine a laser beam onto the window and then record the information from the reflected laser beam coming back to you, then you can use that reflected laser beam to see how the window is vibrating, to pick up the tiny little vibrations in the window, and then you can turn the vibrations into the window back into sound, and you can theoretically hear what the people inside were talking about. Now, we can't shine a laser beam on distant stars or even the sun and expect it to bounce back, but we can just look at these stars, and because of the light that they're giving off already, we can get an idea of how they are vibrating. Now, stars kind of like they have like a kind of wobble to them. It's like if you imagine a big ball of liquid that's just floating in space and you just flicked it, then it would go whoop, 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 and you can imagine it like morphing around as it like tries to retain a wobble. It's quite a bizarre thing, and something that we found out is that old stars will have like a more consistent wobble, and they'll just keep wobbling in the same way because they've really like found their vibe. Whereas young stars will continue to wobble in quite weird ways, and every now and then they'll have quite violent outbursts of wobbling very differently to how they were the other time. So young stars have violent outbursts. I've just got some. These are some young stars here. You can recognize young stars in space because they're usually a bit bluer, and that's to do with the materials that they're made of. This isn't the same as blue shift and red shift like we were doing before. It's just literally different chemical, materials present in younger stars. So these younger stars are much more likely to have quite violent wobbles, and yeah, it's those vibrations inside the star that give it its sound. And Tashdor's asking, are those wobbles the same thing as solar storms? So great question. So the wobbles are related to solar storms in that the wobbles are more likely to cause turbulence at the edges of the star that will result in material being thrown off, that might result in many charged particles being thrown towards planets, which might result in which here results in the northern lights and the southern lights and so on, which obviously happen more during solar storms. In fact, before I give you the sound of the star, I'm going to show you a quick animation of some vibrations inside a star. So here we go. This is just what it looks like. If a wobble is created here, then it will just pass through the star, and you'll notice that because it's much denser in the middle of the star, the vibrations kind of try to pass beside it, and they bend. I'll show you what it looks like. So yeah, this is just each vibration just starting and showing where each vibration goes. And so vibrations tend to curve around, and you can imagine loads of these going on, vibrating through the star in these like spirograph type patterns. And together they give the star a kind of like overall wobble. Now, we obviously can't hear this, as I said, but what we can do is we can look at how the star is wobbling, and we can and we can then work out how it would sound if we could hear it. Now, these wobbles are obviously very, very low pitched and slow and wobbly, and especially older stars, the pitch gets lower and lower. So older stars have an even deeper pitch, and older stars deeper pitch. Whereas younger stars, as I said, have these more like these outbursts. Now I'm gonna so yeah, they're kind of too low for the human ear to hear. So what we can do is we can take the sound of the stars and then pitch it up, like make it higher pitched so that we can hear it. So I'm gonna now play you what this sounds like. And yeah, we're yet to set up the text that I can like play it directly into the stream. So I'm just gonna play it on my speakers and then plunge it straight back into the microphone. We'll see what it sounds like. Right, here we go. So eerie, isn't it? Isn't that so cool? Anyway, that's quite literally what stars sound like, but kind of pitched up so we can hear it. So you can imagine it as more like a whoa, like a very, very slow wobble of these things like vibrating in space. Bloop, 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 bloop. Right. Okay. So the last thing I want to show you is just something cool about trees versus stars. So do you guys know what? Okay, vote. Let's have a vote on it. What do you guys reckon there is more of, trees on Earth or stars in the Milky Way? So stars in our galaxy. So what is there more of, trees on Earth or stars in the galaxy? What do you reckon? Versus stars in the galaxy. So Peter thinks stars in the galaxy. Infallibels thinks stars as well. And Catherine's saying, how is that such a pleasant noise if the sun sounds like a chainsaw? Yeah, because that's actually because that star is not able to throw its sound towards Earth. We can control the volume and bring it down to a nice pitch, to a nice volume, and bring it to a nice pitch that is pleasant for us. But unfortunately, if you did allow the sun to spray its sound all over the Earth, it would be crazy loud. So you wouldn't get to appreciate how beautiful it was, because it would just be deafeningly loud, and everyone would go. And we probably just wouldn't have even evolved ears in the same way. Okay, so yeah, loads of votes coming in for stars. So there are about 100 to 400 billion stars in the galaxy. About 100 to 400 billion stars. How many trees do you guys reckon there are on Earth? And the answer is not enough. Not enough. But yeah, how many trees do you guys reckon there might be on this planet? I'll give you a moment to figure it out. About 7, maybe 8, 5. Are you guys talking about billion, or are you just talking about literal trees? The number of trees on Earth is about 3,000 billion. There are way more trees on Earth than there are stars in the galaxy. So much more, and that includes the fact that we've cut down loads of them. So you would also call this 3 trillion. There are 3 trillion trees on Earth. The Earth is covered in trees, so much more than there are stars in the galaxy. And we need more, in my opinion. We need so many more trees. Anyway, yes, so thanks so much for coming to this AimHi Live. I've been Matthew Shribman, but there are loads of other people doing ones that are much cooler than mine. In fact, Nish is doing one straight after this on... oh my god, it's such a cool topic. How have I allowed this to slip my mind? His is on... Oh yeah, do we live in a simulation? So Nish is doing one in half an hour, which you won't be able to watch on my personal channels. You'll have to watch it on the AimHi ones, and that is coming on in half an hour. Do we live in a simulation? I'm going to be on that. It sounds super cool. So yeah, come back for that one. And also, what would be really, really great if you could manage to is if you guys could let us know so that we can make this better, the answer to some questions, it would help so much, because we're basically like a group of people who are doing this all for free to try and do something good during the lockdown, to try and help people and like give people interesting ideas to think about. And yeah, it's we're trying to make something positive of a bad situation, and so it's really great to have you guys all coming along. We want to make it as good as possible. So what would be amazing is if you could fill in this form, so you can let us know some thoughts, and that may not have come through if you're on Twitch, in which case let me just add it now, so that you'll be able to see it if you're on there. I think I have to add it in a different way. See it if you're on. Oh, that's there. Me speaking again. Anyway, yeah, thanks so much for coming, everyone. I will be back tomorrow at. No, I'm back this afternoon. I'm back this afternoon at 2. What am I doing at 2? At 2 o'clock, I'm also doing what are the tipping points for our climate, and how does COVID factor into that as well? So this afternoon, I'm doing what are the tipping points for our climate and how does COVID factor in? And that is going to be at 2 p.m. UK time. So tune in for that. And if you can't make it, I'm going to repeat it next week, more around this time. But yeah, do let me know any thoughts. That would be really amazing. Thanks so much for coming, and maybe see you at 2 or maybe tomorrow. Ciao. Have a nice day.